Good morning, Josh.
Hello, good morning.
Tell me a little bit about your service. I'm an Air Force vet, and I served in Iraq in 22 years of service. So, passing the mic to you, share a little bit about your service.
Okay, so I was in the Navy. I was a mechanic. I was an airframer. I worked on F/A-18 Hornets. I had a very simple enlistment in the military. I was in before 9/11, so I served my 4 years, and I got out, and uh, there. Once I got out, I had to make the transition, and that was not all that easy, as it isn't for some vets. That whole change in life thing, it's be a little tough. But made my way through all the ups and downs. At some point, I made my way to working at the VA here in Houston as a peer sports specialist and recovery coach. And since then, I have moved on to the nonprofit sector, and that's what I do now. Work for a really great organization. Leadership is amazing. You I love those people so much. I wish they would adopt me as their own child. Uh, but I don't know if you've heard of this organization called Champ. Love them.
Okay. Yes, I have. I have heard of Champ. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So tell me about 2020 is one of those years I think that will have an asterisk by it because it was so significant in world history with COVID-19 and all the other social issues that are going on, not only here, but globally. And now we're in 2021. How has COVID impacted you personally?
Personally, it's impacted me a great deal because my wife is a nurse on the ICU, and she was working directly in the COVID unit during the big surge. Well, she still does. She's still
Wow.
there, and so we had some very dark days in our house. My wife is a very positive, optimistic person. Um, can always see the good stuff, but she started to lose that shine, and it was heartbreaking. There was many times that I'd have to sit with her and we just cry because of the day that she had had. It was just awful, waking up with feeling like there's no point. You're just going into a bleak environment. It got bad. We saw some
It,
dark.
yes. Now that was in 2020 at the height of the cases and with when we were still working on a vaccination and things like that.
That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
How has when the numbers went down and things kind of opened up a little bit, did you see a change? How did that transition piece go?
Uh, well, as the numbers started to dwindle, there seemed to be a little bit less dread of going to work,
Okay.
because you could see the anxiety uh, build up in her before her shift every day. You could definitely see that she was forcing herself to go out those doors, to get out there on the front line. And so that anxiety level started to lessen as the numbers lessen. In case I don't know if that makes sense. They kind of correlated.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
So as the numbers went down, if I hear you saying, as the numbers went down, her anxiety level went down a little bit, or she
yeah,
was a little bit less apprehensive about going to work at that point, maybe? If,
her
if I'm
anxiety.
hearing that correctly?
Yes, that's right. Her anxiety
Okay.
level started to go noticeably down. As don't don't get me wrong. She wasn't happy and skipping down the street. It still was
Right.
dealing with some very very bad situations. But it wasn't to the point that life was bleak.
I see. Okay. What were some tools that you used and she used, your family used, uh, to deal with it? To some self-care tips or some things that you all did to just maintain your sanity and maintain your wellness? What are some things that you did that you'd like to share?
Um, well, before I share some of the things that we did, um, I have to say that we had to learn some new tools because the fact that we were in quarantine, you know. So my tools uh, have been her tools as well is being around friends and family. You know
Okay.
that was that was a major source of comfort for us when things were rough. But that was no longer available. Not like
Yes.
it, not like it could. The power of the hug is not there. Um, uh, and so all we had was each other to go and have our physical contact with. And so when we would hug, we would make sure that our hug would last for at least 5 seconds because there's
Nice.
a study that says that's how the endorphins, or that's how long it takes for the endorphins from a hug to start moving, something like that.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's
Powerful.
what we learned.
Powerful. Were your animals a source of wellness for you as well? Having the puppies there.
Yes, well, for me, for Melinda, they get a little annoying whenever they start barking after to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, they were a huge source of comfort for me because I was I was the support system for her. She'd come home and I was the one who would have to go and try to go and comfort her as best I could. Being somebody who has also experienced a very difficult time, who lives with PTSD and stuff like that, I know how she's feeling. I don't have the experience that she has that's caused those feelings, but I know those feelings, and
Yeah.
so I would be hurting right there with her.
I see. I see. Now that we're in 2021 and those numbers have begun to creep up, and Harris County, where we both live, has kind of, I think we're in red right now, which means wear your mask, avoid, keep your distance. If you don't feel well, definitely don't go out, and also get tested, wash your hands frequently. Those kind of things are back in place. How is it going now for you all, now that the numbers have creeped up?
Well, that anxiety level's creeped up. Uh, it's actually it's becoming very high, like right now as we
Yeah.
speak, because she has to go back to work tomorrow, and that's going to be the first shift she's had in quite a while because she's been on family leave. We had a birth in the family. They were in Pittsburgh, and we had to go up there for the birth and stay with them for a little while.
Mhm.
And so now that she's coming back, she's called, down to her unit, talk to her coworkers, ask them how it is, and she says currently at HCA Clear Lake Regional, there are 7 COVID units, and they're all full right now.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. This is a very very serious. Uh, my wife has told me, not asked me, she has told me that I have to wear my mask everywhere. If I have to leave, I have to separate myself from those who are unvaccinated. Uh, I have to avoid places where there's going to be large crowds and potential non-vaccinated people. Our life has just now gone back to lockdown stage, just a little
Yeah.
bit more modified.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Is there any feedback you'd like to offer those out there that are kind of on the fence about this thing, as far as what do I do? Do I listen to what is being recommended by the medical community, or do I listen to, um, you know, non-medical or so-called experts that are not in line with what the CDC and others in the medical field are telling us? What feedback would you offer them on the way to proceed, or what?
Well, to put it bluntly, whatever study it that you're looking at, if you're wanting to look at COVID deaths currently, there seems to be one thing that almost all of them have in common, and that is they're unvaccinated. You know,
Hmm.
but the thing about it is, this is a matter of taking care of each other. This is a matter of us looking out for our community, for our people, for those of us around us. And I mean, I think it's very inconvenient to wear that mask. I don't like wearing that mask. Nobody does. But
Mhm.
because of the fact that I feel like I'm a steward of the Lord's creation, then it's up to me to care for the people as best I can within my capacities. And my capacity is wearing a mask. Well, I can do that.
Okay.
And I hope other people can feel the same way.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's great feedback. Just to encourage them to care for your neighbor. Um, and I think something as simple as wearing a mask sometimes it's been really blown out of proportion, because even though it is an inconvenience, uh, you and I both served in the military. We're used to wearing uh, clothing that, if I had my choice, I wouldn't wear.
Yeah.
But for the mission, I would wear it. It's required
Yeah.
for the mission.
Safety
Yeah.
equipment.
What's that?
Inconvenient safety equipment. It'll save your
Exactly.
life.
Inconvenient safety equipment. That's right. Tell me a little bit about your service. I know you worked on the flight line, flight deck. Speaking of that equipment, you had to wear a lot of equipment when you were on the deck.
That's correct. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had to work on quite a few flight decks on a couple of different aircraft carriers. Um, uh, on top of working on a flight line on land. But yeah, whenever we would be on those flight decks, we would have to have our helmet with the ear protectors and
Right.
the goggles,
Hmm.
and you have to wear the foam protectors underneath the other.
Yes. Two layers. Two
Yeah,
layers of protection.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
those goggles, I presume, are probably the cheapest ones the U.S. military could find, because
So they weren't very comfortable.
they were not comfortable, and they fog up so you could barely see. And when
Yeah.
you're on that flight deck, you really, really need to see what's going on around
Oh, for sure.
you.
For sure. That's a good point.
Oh yeah, and then you'd have your flight vest, and it was just full of all kinds of equipment, and just dirty and greasy, and you know so yeah, uh we'd have to wear those things all the time. And then of course the steel-toed flight line boots, which
That's right. I was thinking of boots.
yeah,
Yes. They
those things.
weren't the comfortable boots.
No,
Yeah. They
no,
weren't
they
the
were safe.
comfortable walking boots.
That's right, they were safe up to a
It was
point.
safe. Yeah. Safety was the first responsibility of those boots, not fashion or comfortability. It
Yeah,
was meant for safety.
that's right.
So so we as veterans, we're kind of used to that, wearing the flak vest, Kevlar helmet, all that stuff, carrying things. So a mask, I don't think is a lot to ask. If that can keep myself and my neighbors, my family, my community safe. So I wanted to hear your perspective on that. Any other feedback that you'd like to give as we begin to wrap up and this interview, this
Uh,
conversation?
I would tell people, this is this this still is an unknown
Hmm.
virus. We know something about it, but not a whole lot. We're
Good
still
point.
we're
Oh,
still learning
yes.
as we go. So I mean, people have to be open to other opinions. Even the ones that you don't want to hear. You
Yeah.
know, Sometimes you got to be open to that. Just because it might sound bad, that doesn't mean it's not necessary. So, have an open mind, have an open heart.
Yeah.
Um, you know, don't just love yourself, but love your community also.
Excellent. Excellent. And we want to wish, your wife and her team and all of our frontline workers out there in the medical community, law enforcement, fire, emergency responders, anyone that is having to deal with the public. You know, we talk about that, bus drivers. I mean, there's just so many out there that they don't have a choice to quarantine. They, you know, in order to take care of their families and to take care of us as a community, they have to be in the public. And so I think it takes a team effort to make COVID a thing of the past. And so, you know, as your wife go out there and do her thing, I want us as a community to do our thing to make her job, you know, a little bit, you know, if we can take some of the risk away and reduce those numbers by doing the right thing, let's do it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?